My wife Rachel gave my car to her entitled brother Kevin without asking, claiming it was just sitting there and I could figure something out. When he refused to return it and she sided with him, I reported it stolen. He was arrested 3 days later and Rachel discovered I'd already bought a new car with money from her precious jewelry collection that I'd sold. Hey viewers, welcome to the channel. We are just starting and your support means a lot. If you enjoy these stories, please consider subscribing and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. My name is Derek, I'm 31 years old and I learned the hard way that sometimes the person you trust most is the one who will betray you without a second thought. I'd been married to Rachel Morrison, 28, for 4 years. We had what I thought was a solid relationship, good communication, shared goals, and mutual respect. Or at least, I thought it was mutual. Rachel came from a family that had always enabled her younger brother Kevin, 25, and I was about to discover just how far that enabling went. Kevin was what you'd politely call a piece of work. He'd never held a job for more than 6 months, lived in his parents' basement, and had this entitled attitude that the world owed him everything. He was constantly asking for money, favors, or handouts, and Rachel's family always gave in. Her parents, Donald and Susan Morrison, both in their 50s, had been bailing Kevin out of trouble his entire life, and Rachel had inherited that same enabling instinct. The car in question was my 2019 Honda Civic. Nothing fancy, but it was reliable, paid off, and mine. I'd worked overtime for months to save up for it, and I was proud of that car. It represented financial stability and independence, something I'd worked hard to achieve after growing up in a family that struggled with money. Here's the thing about Kevin, he'd totaled 3 cars in the past 2 years. Not from accidents, mind you, but from pure negligence. He'd blown an engine by never changing the oil, destroyed a transmission by treating it like a race car, and let another car get repossessed because he couldn't be bothered to make payments. Each time, his parents had either paid for repairs or helped him get another car, and each time he'd destroyed that one too. So when Kevin's latest car finally died, a 2015 Ford that he'd managed to kill by driving it with no coolant for weeks, I wasn't surprised. What did surprise me was what happened next. I was at work on a Tuesday morning when I got a text from Rachel that made my blood run cold. Had to give Kevin your car, his broke down and he needs it for job interviews. You can take the bus until we figure something out. I read that text 3 times before it sank in. She'd given away my car without asking, without discussing it, without even the courtesy of a phone call. She'd made a unilateral decision about my property and expected me to just deal with it. I called her immediately. "Rachel, what the hell?" I said when she picked up. "You gave Kevin my car?" "Derek, calm down," she said, and I could already hear that condescending tone she used when she thought I was being unreasonable. "It's not a big deal. Kevin's car died and yours was just sitting in the driveway. He needs it more than you do right now." "It's my car," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "You can't just give away my property without asking me." "It's not like I sold it," she said. "It's just temporary. He's got some job interviews lined up and he needs reliable transportation. You can take the bus or get rides until he gets back on his feet." I was speechless. The casual way she was dismissing my concerns, the assumption that I should just accept this, the complete lack of respect for my ownership of the vehicle, it was staggering. "Rachel, I need that car for work. I can't just take the bus indefinitely, and why is Kevin's transportation problem suddenly my responsibility?" "Because he's family," she said, as if that explained everything. "And you're being selfish. It's one car, Derek. We can share it when he's not using it." Share it. She was talking about sharing my car with her brother like it was some kind of family vehicle. I'd bought it, I'd paid for it, I was making the insurance payments, but somehow it had become a community resource. "How long is this supposed to last?" I asked. "Just until he finds a job and can afford his own car," she said. "It shouldn't take too long." Kevin hadn't held a job in 8 months. His idea of job hunting was scrolling through online listings and complaining that everything was beneath him. The chances of him finding employment anytime soon were basically zero. "I want the car back by Friday," I said. "Tell Kevin he has 3 days to make other arrangements." "Derek, you're being ridiculous. It's just a car." "It's my car," I repeated, "and I'm not negotiating about this." I hung up and spent the rest of my workday fuming. I couldn't believe Rachel had done this. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 4, and she'd never shown this level of disrespect for my property or my opinions. But apparently when it came to her precious baby brother, all bets were off. When I got home that evening, after taking 2 buses and walking half a mile, Rachel was waiting for me with what she probably thought was a reasonable explanation. "I talked to Kevin," she said, "and he said he'll give you the car back as soon as he finds a job. He's got 3 interviews lined up this week, so it should be soon." I said, "Friday, Rachel, I wasn't making a suggestion." "You're being unreasonable," she said. "Kevin needs this right now. Can't you just be supportive?" Supportive of what? His refusal to take responsibility for his own life, his history of destroying every vehicle he's ever owned. That's not fair, she said. He's trying to get his life together. He's 25 years old, Rachel. He's been trying to get his life together for years, and now you're enabling him by giving him my car. The argument went on for hours. Rachel kept insisting that I was being selfish and unsupportive, that family should come first, that it was just temporary. I kept pointing out that she'd made a major decision about my property without consulting me and that Kevin had proven himself irresponsible with vehicles. Finally, I gave her an ultimatum. Either Kevin returns my car by Friday or I'm reporting it stolen. Rachel laughed, actually laughed. You wouldn't do that. He's my brother. Try me. Friday came and went. Kevin didn't return the car. When I asked Rachel about it, she said he'd gotten one job interview but needed more time to follow up on other opportunities. She asked me to be patient, to understand that this was a crucial time for Kevin's future. I called Kevin directly. Hey, Derek, he said when he answered, sounding completely unconcerned. What's up? I need my car back, Kevin, today. Oh yeah, about that. I'm actually using it for some job stuff this week. Rachel said it was cool. Rachel doesn't get to make that decision. It's my car and I need it back. Look, man, I get it, but I'm finally getting my life together here. I've got some real opportunities lined up and I need reliable transportation. You can take the bus for a little while longer, right? The casual dismissal in his voice was infuriating. He wasn't even pretending to be grateful or apologetic. He was acting like I was being unreasonable for wanting my own car back. Kevin, I'm not asking, I'm telling you, bring me my car today or I'm calling the police. Dude, chill out, it's just a car. Besides, Rachel said. I hung up on him. That evening, I had another fight with Rachel. This time, it was worse. You threatened to call the police on my brother, she said, her voice shaking with anger. I told him to return my car. He refused. Derek, you can't be serious. You'd actually have Kevin arrested over this? I'd have a car thief arrested, yes. He's not a thief. He's my brother and he's borrowing the car. He's not borrowing it if he refuses to give it back when the owner asks for it. Rachel started crying then, talking about how I was trying to destroy her family, how I was being cruel and vindictive. She said Kevin was finally getting his life together, that this could be his big break, and I was going to ruin it over a car. You're choosing a car over my brother, she sobbed. You chose your brother over your husband, I replied. That shut her up for a moment, but then she started in again about how I was being selfish and how family should come first. If family comes first, I said, then why doesn't your loyalty to your husband come before your loyalty to your irresponsible brother? She didn't have an answer for that. I gave Kevin and Rachel one more chance. I told them they had until Monday to return the car or I was filing a police report. Rachel begged me to reconsider, promising that Kevin would return it soon. Kevin, when I spoke to him, was dismissive and rude. You're really going to call the cops on me, he said, over a car that's just sitting around most of the time anyway. It's not sitting around, Kevin. I need it for work. You can take the bus. It's not that hard. Return my car. When I'm ready. Monday came, no car. I called the police and reported it stolen. The officer who took my report was sympathetic but thorough. He explained that since I was the legal owner of the vehicle and Kevin had refused to return it when asked, it did constitute theft. He warned me that this would likely cause problems in my family, and I told him I understood. Sometimes people think that family relationships override property rights, he said, but the law is pretty clear on this. If someone takes your car and refuses to give it back, it's theft, regardless of whether you're related. Rachel was at work when the police came to arrest Kevin. I was at my job when I got the call from her, screaming and crying. How could you do this? She sobbed. They arrested Kevin, he's in jail. I told you what would happen if he didn't return my car. Derek, you have to drop the charges, please. He's my brother. He stole my car, Rachel. Actions have consequences. He didn't steal it, I gave it to him. You don't have the right to give away my property, Rachel. We've been over this. The next few days were a nightmare. Rachel's entire family was calling me, texting me, showing up at my work. Her parents, Donald and Susan, came to our house to beg me to drop the charges. They offered to pay for damages, to buy me a new car, to do whatever it took to get Kevin out of jail. Derek, please, Susan pleaded. Kevin made a mistake, but he doesn't deserve to go to jail over this. He had multiple opportunities to return the car, I said. He chose not to. But he's family, Donald said. Surely you can understand that family comes first. If family comes first, I said, then why didn't Rachel consider me family when she gave away my car? They didn't have an answer for that either. Rachel moved out on Thursday, going to stay with her parents. Before she left, she gave me one last ultimatum. If you don't drop the charges against Kevin, we're done, she said. I won't stay married to someone who would do this to my family. And I won't stay married to someone who thinks her brother's convenience is more important than her husband's property rights, I replied. She left. The house felt empty without her, but I wasn't about to back down. Kevin had stolen my car, refused to return it, and shown no remorse for his actions. The fact that he was Rachel's brother didn't give him a free pass to treat me like garbage. On Friday morning, I got a call from Rachel. "I hope you're happy," she said. "Kevin's bail hearing is this afternoon. My parents are going to have to use their retirement savings to pay for his lawyer. He could have avoided all of this by returning my car when I asked for it. You're destroying my family over a car, Derek. Your family destroyed itself when they decided my property was theirs to give away." That's when I told her about the car. "By the way," I said, "I bought a new car yesterday, a 2021 Honda Accord, fully loaded." There was silence on the other end of the line. "How?" she finally asked. "How did you afford that?" "I sold some things." "What things?" "Your jewelry collection." The scream that came through the phone was unlike anything I'd ever heard. Rachel had an extensive collection of jewelry that she'd inherited from her grandmother, plus pieces I'd bought her over the years. It was worth about $30,000, and legally, as her husband, I had the right to sell it. "You sold my grandmother's jewelry," she shrieked. "I needed a car," I said calmly. "Mine was stolen." "Derek, those pieces were irreplaceable. They were family heirlooms, and my car was my property. Funny how property rights only matter when it's your stuff, isn't it?" "You can't do this. Those weren't yours to sell." "Actually, they were. We're married, remember? Community property laws are pretty clear on this." I'd done my research. Everything I'd sold was legally mine to sell, just as the car was legally mine to report stolen. "I'll divorce you," she threatened. "I'll take you for everything you have." "Good luck with that," I said. "You might want to focus on getting your brother out of jail first." Kevin was released on bail that afternoon. The charges against him were still pending, but his parents had hired a lawyer and were hoping to work out a plea deal. Rachel filed for divorce the following week. The divorce proceedings were ugly. Rachel's lawyer tried to argue that I'd acted maliciously by selling her jewelry, but my lawyer pointed out that I'd sold marital property to replace other marital property that had been stolen. The judge wasn't particularly sympathetic to Rachel's position. "Let me get this straight," the judge said during one hearing. "You gave away your husband's car without his permission, your brother refused to return it when asked, and now you're upset that your husband sold some jewelry to buy a replacement car." "Those were family heirlooms," Rachel's lawyer argued, "and the car was his property," the judge replied. "If the wife had consulted with her husband before giving away his vehicle, none of this would have happened." In the end, the divorce was pretty straightforward. We split our assets 50-50. But since I'd already sold the jewelry to buy the new car, it was treated as an asset transfer rather than theft. Rachel got half the value of the new car, but she'd lost her precious jewelry collection permanently. Kevin eventually pled guilty to a reduced charge and got probation. He had to pay restitution for the use of the car, plus court costs and legal fees. His parents were furious with him for getting into this situation, and even more furious when they found out how much his legal defense had cost them. The whole thing created a rift in Rachel's family that never healed. Her parents blamed Kevin for being irresponsible, Kevin blamed me for being vindictive, and Rachel blamed everyone for not supporting her unconditionally. The family unity that had enabled Kevin's behavior for so long finally cracked under the pressure. I kept the Honda Accord. It's a great car, and every time I drive it, I remember the lesson I learned about standing up for myself. Rachel used to say that I was too passive, that I let people walk all over me. I guess she was right, but not anymore. A few months after the divorce was final, I ran into Kevin at a grocery store. He looked like he'd aged years in the span of months. He was working at a fast food restaurant, living in a studio apartment, and finally taking some responsibility for his life. "Hey, Derek," he said awkwardly when he saw me. "Kevin, look, I wanted to say I'm sorry about everything. I know I screwed up." "Yeah, you did." "I guess I never really understood how serious you were about the car thing. I thought you were just being difficult." "I was being clear. There's a difference." He nodded and looked uncomfortable. "For what it's worth, I get it now. I wouldn't want someone taking my stuff either." "Good for you." "Rachel's still pretty upset about the whole thing." "I imagine she is. She says you destroyed our family." "Your family destroyed itself when you decided my property was yours to take." Kevin didn't have an answer for that. He apologized again and went on his way. I haven't spoken to Rachel since the divorce was finalized. I heard through mutual friends that she's dating someone new, a guy who apparently doesn't mind her family's drama. Good for her. She deserves someone who'll enable her brother's behavior and accept being treated like a doormat. As for me, I learned some valuable lessons from this whole experience. I learned that marriage doesn't mean your spouse gets to make unilateral decisions about your property. I learned that family loyalty shouldn't override basic respect and decency. And I learned that sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones who will betray you the fastest when their own interests are at stake. I also learned that I'm perfectly capable of standing up for myself when I need to. Rachel used to complain that I was too passive, that I didn't fight for what I wanted. She was right, but she probably didn't expect me to start fighting against her. The new Honda Accord has been great, by the way. It's reliable, comfortable, and most importantly, it's mine. Nobody's going to give it away without asking, and nobody's going to tell me I'm being selfish for wanting to keep my own property. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how everything went down. They think I should have been more understanding, more willing to compromise, more concerned about keeping the peace. But I don't regret it at all. Rachel and her family thought they could walk all over me, thought they could treat me like a doormat, and I'd just accept it. They were wrong. I'm in a much better place now. I've got my own car, my own house, and my own life. I don't have to deal with Kevin's drama or Rachel's enabling or her parents' guilt trips. I don't have to worry about coming home to find out that my wife has given away my belongings without asking. The truth is, I'm happier now than I was when I was married to Rachel. I didn't realize how much stress I was carrying from constantly having to deal with her family's dysfunction. Now I'm free of all that, and it feels good. Kevin learned a hard lesson about respecting other people's property, and Rachel learned that her husband wasn't going to be a pushover forever. Sometimes people need to face real consequences for their actions before they'll change their behavior. I hope Kevin continues to grow and take responsibility for his life. I hope Rachel finds someone who's willing to put up with her family's drama, and I hope her parents learn that enabling someone isn't the same as helping them. As for me, I'm moving forward. I've got a good job, a reliable car, and a newfound appreciation for my own worth. I'm not looking for another relationship right now, but when I am, I'll make sure to find someone who understands that marriage is a partnership, not a dictatorship. The car saga taught me that sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is to let them face the consequences of their actions. Rachel and Kevin both learned that lesson the hard way, and hopefully they're better people for it. And me, I learned that I'm worth more than being treated like a doormat. That might have been the most valuable lesson of all.